So today on the chapters, I have the wonderful, amazing Brittany Cherry. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited.
How's everybody doing? How your family, you?
Everyone's doing really good. We're doing whatever we can to pass time.
So what's
Have
going
hope.
on with you?
Writing and writing some more. I just published about 2 weeks ago now, on February 17th. Eastern Lights came out, and
Love it.
yeah, that was super exciting. And now, outside of that, I'm just starting my next book next week. I'm giving myself this week to kind of relax and breathe before I dive back in.
Yeah. So, I also want to say, congratulations on all your success. I remember, all of us chatting one day and you had the signing, I think it was in Brazil.
Yes.
And it was like, I remember you sending us a picture and there was this like long line down the street that wrapped around. And it was like, oh my gosh, this is happening to one of us. It was just so amazing. And I remember you were so humbled and just blown away by that experience. And your popularity has just continued to grow. I mean, people love you, they love your stories and all that stuff. So I think it's absolutely incredible, what's happened with your career.
Yeah, it's unreal. Like when I think about that trip to Brazil was like 5-6 years ago now, and
Yeah.
that was my first book signing ever, which was insane. And I remember sending that picture to our group because I was afraid no one was going to show up. And my agent was like, no, there will be people, there will be people. And I thought it would be like, 10, 20 people. I'm a new author. But when I saw it wrapped around and then there were people inside the bookstore waiting, and I remember I just started crying. I'm like, what is going on? Because when authors start writing, I don't think we really think about that kind of stuff, like I never thought about foreign rights, like selling my book to foreign countries. It was never on my mind. So when that happened, it's like a dream I didn't even know I could have came true. So
And if I recall correctly, it was just you, wasn't it?
yeah, so I met one of my agents for the first time over there. My other one, Flavia, flew out to meet me in Milwaukee beforehand. But it was my first trip alone. I went by myself. I didn't have my mom or my sister. They travel with me a lot. But that was my first trip out of the country. I remember being terrified. But it also inspired me to keep going. You know what I mean?
Whenever I've seen you, like at Book Bonanza and things like that, I mean, there's no shortage of people waiting to meet you. So what's that like?
It's humbling because the fact that people even pick up my books to read is insane to me. Because at one point, I'm sure it was just me and my mom reading them, and like my best friends. So the fact that strangers around the world read my books, and not only read my books, but show up to book signings like, hey, your book has really helped me through this and this, or I really loved your book. That's insane to me. Like, and they're like, I want your autograph. And I'm like, that's so weird. That's such a weird thing. But I'm so inspired by all the readers who show up for me time and time again, who trust me to create something, who opens their hearts to read my books.
Well, and I think you do such a great job connecting with your readers. Has that been hard for you to step out of your comfort zone to really engage and be present and kind of let your guard down a little bit?
For sure. So I'm a bit of a hermit crab. I'm an introvert by heart. So it took me a while to warm up to putting myself out there. Not because I didn't want to meet the readers or anything, but I was just afraid of what if no one shows up to your table? Like those fears that all authors have. And once I started meeting them, though, they are the strongest connections to my writing. Meeting the readers makes it easier for me to keep going, because I feel like a lot of authors feel broken down sometimes, and we write to ourselves for a long time when we're creating these novels, and we get in our own way so often. So the readers have really saved me time and time again when they're like, hey, I just wanted to message you and say this book really meant a lot to me. and you should really keep going. Don't stop writing. And it just takes those little moments to help push you forward when you're doubting yourself.
Right. Well, and I know that you've got an amazing support. I know your mom is, like your biggest champion and everything. And I know you mentioned, going out of the country for the first time, you went by yourself. Do they go to a lot of your events with you?
Yeah, so my mom and my sisters and my youngest brother travel with me. We swap who's coming where and all that jazz. But normally I have a family member to travel with me. They are just the most supportive people in the world. And I love that I get to see like different parts of the world with the people I love the most. So
yeah. Is there any part of the world you haven't been yet that's like on your list, like top of your list that you want to go?
Yeah, I want to go to Scotland, Ireland. I was supposed to go last year for the rare book signing. Obviously, that was canceled. Those are at the top of my list. In the U.S., I want to go to Seattle. That's on my bucket list. Outside of the U.S., where else? Greece. Greece is high up there. Yeah.
Yeah, that one would be beautiful. Rome's as far as I've been. So someplace else someday.
Where would you?
Yeah. So you mentioned Eastern Lights. I actually just finished it yesterday. And I loved it. It was so funny because Ash and I both started it. And then I seriously figured she was almost done. And I was talking to her and I was like, oh my gosh. I was like, I just got to this part. I was like, and I'm laughing. And she goes, so what part are you at? And I was like, where are you at? And I was like, oh my gosh, you're still so far behind me. Because she reads so fast, but she's had a busy week with school, so she hasn't caught up to me. And I was like, wow.
Hey.
But I just loved the way that they were. It was charming, and they were so cute together. And it was like, and then I looked at how far I was in the book, and I was like thinking, oh my gosh, there's still so much more to go. Something's gonna break. What is it? And that, it's like this terrified part of me because I have read other books of yours, so I was like waiting for, where is it gonna come?
The Brittainy Cherry.
Yeah. Yes. She asked, what is your ideal real life romance?
My ideal. So I'm single right now, but if I was in a relationship, what my ideal relationship would look like? That's a good question. I think it would involve a lot of laughter, a lot of honesty and humility, and communication is key through everything. I know sometimes my characters don't communicate when they should, but I feel like a strong relationship has strong communications, a strong friendship. I think friendship is so important. Like in Eastern Lights, Connor and Aaliyah were friends before anything. And I feel like for me, the ideal romance has that strong friendship built in to it.
In this book or in another book, is there a character that you relate to more that's like a more representative of you than any others?
Yeah, for sure. I would say Maggie May from Silent Waters is very dear to my heart. Maggie doesn't speak in that right away. And she's very closed off, and she keeps to herself, except with like the people she loves. The hero Brooks, they communicate in their special way. But I think I have a lot of her in me because I was a very shy kid. I kept to myself. I didn't express myself. So writing that book kind of felt like writing my own happy ending and like branching out and using my voice in a powerful way. So I connect with her a lot. And I also connect with Lucy from The Gravity of Us. She's a bit of a spiritual wildflower, and I have those hippie vibes in me a little.
That's right. Do you believe that trauma brings people together? Because I think we read in a lot of stories like these big dramatic events that bring people together. Do you think that that's something in real life that brings people together, or and if so, is it temporary, or do you think it has a longevity to it?
Yeah, I think it depends on the person in the relationship, because I feel like trauma can bring you together the same way love and light can bring people together. Do I feel like it's easier to connect with people who have been through the same kind of hardships that you have? Yes. Is that always a healthy thing? No. Sometimes you can enable each other, and there could be a lack of growth if you just get comfortable in the trauma. So I feel like it's important to meet someone who can see where you came from and you can see where they came from, but then figure out how we can build up to a brighter light together.
Right.
Yeah, because in my books, they do start with some heavy moments, some of them. But I think the beauty is how they find the light out of the darkness together instead of just taking the darkness.
Right. The In Conversation, your interview series that you've been doing.
Oh yes, they're complete for now. I had a few authors reach out about it, but like I said, I'm an introvert, so sometimes I get overwhelmed and I'm like, okay, I just need a break. But I love them. I think that was the most fun I've had in so long. And like authors, we see each other at book signings. I haven't seen you guys in so long. So I thought it was a lot of fun.
And how did that come about for you?
I wrote my PR company and I said, hey, I want to talk to authors. I have this release coming up, but I want to engage with authors. I want to see what they have going on. I want to talk about my new book. And I just want to have good heart-to-heart conversations. And my favorite thing about it is every conversation was different.
Yeah.
We touched on books here and there, but like with B.B. Easton, we talked more about the spiritual side and meditation. With Candy Steiner, we talked about like love and how self-love and all this stuff. With Colleen Hoover, we talked a lot about like our writing paths and how we get to where we are and what we're still learning. So I would love to do it again. I probably will, but I just need like one little break. I think doing it like twice a month might be fun,
Yeah. So I finished the book and I was getting to the end and I'm looking at your acknowledgments. And I noticed in the back that you directed readers to other women with Black Girl Magic, and you list, Danielle Allen and, a ton of others. Our country, our world is in a state of change right now, a change that's been needed. And how has it changed the way you write or the way you engage, the way you see things?
Yeah, I think there were a lot of blind spots in the romance world, in the book world as a whole, when it came to Black characters in novels and Black authors. And I think the struggles that Black authors go through, a lot of people don't even realize, like the struggle of, well, if I put someone who looks like me on the cover, they will sell less, or we have to fight a little harder than most people actually know. And then you get the backlash, like, why aren't you writing characters who look more like us? And it's like this back and forth, because in real life, we have families to support, we have bills to pay, we have these things that we have to we have to pay our bills. But it also sucks that when we do push books with people who look like us, they don't perform as well as other books. And it's just a tragic truth, because a lot of Black authors feel like they're fighting a double-ended sword, pretty much, because you are, I almost cussed, sorry.
It's okay.
But it's like, no matter what, someone is saying we're not doing a good enough job. And it's like an ongoing battle that we have to face. But one of the best things for me was connecting with these amazing Black authors who show me that I'm not the only one going through this. They've received the same messages I have, the same struggles, people calling you out, people saying you're not doing enough for the cause. And it can be overwhelming, but what I've learned is if you write from the heart, the right people will show up, which is what I'm doing now. I very much stepped into my true self, I feel like. I'm sure that will change over the years. That's what life does to us. But right now I feel like more like myself than ever. And writing Aaliyah, who is a Black character in Eastern Lights, it was so freeing, because I wrote someone who looked like me, and I didn't worry about how the book would perform or what people would say and things like that, because there was always this fear of what people would think. And I'm glad I'm finally able to let go of that.
The thing that I took away from your writing in this particular story was, one, I was seeing everything. I was seeing his penthouse. I was seeing the club where they first met and all these different places they were going. But I didn't feel like you were like overly descriptive, like it wasn't like, you spent so much time on the description. It was about the connection. And with her, it was like, I instantly knew that she was this strong Black woman who, was becoming stronger and more comfortable in her, inner strength, in believing in herself. And while Connor helped, he wasn't, it was her journey. She still found her strength in herself. And so from the moment, her and Marie, I knew, but it wasn't like, you never just said, I'm a Black woman. It was just Aaliyah, and you knew who she was.
Yeah. I feel like, because it was very straightforward too with Marie, I was like, a beautiful Black woman, period. But with Aaliyah, it was like her legs were brown and her hair was in braids, like just simple things. Yeah. And that's all that really mattered though, because there's so many different ways to be a Black woman. And I didn't want to focus it on the color of her skin. I wanted to focus on her personality, on her story, on her self-healing, on her self-love journey. And so I'm glad you picked up on it, but it wasn't like too much, No,
yeah, no, it wasn't. I mean, she was, and I know that one of the things that we always deal with as authors is, like you said, and people are going to either love the character or they're going to hate the character. There's something to complain about, and she's too strong. She's not strong enough. She's, but I such a beautiful character to me. She wasn't this whiny, needy, she was just a young woman who's trying to find herself. And there wasn't anything annoying about that. She wasn't looking for a savior. She wasn't looking for, a hero. She was just this woman trying to find her way. And I loved that.
And I think I think I love her character so much because so many women can relate to that, I think. And, she just wanted a family. And did she sometimes make mistakes along the way? Yeah, but so do all of us. We all make mistakes. I think sometimes in the book world, we're a bit harder on the female characters, the women characters, than the guys. Because I think sometimes I'm like, you guys let my male characters get away with a lot. But the female shows one moment of weakness and you're like, oh, she's a weak character. When really, no, she's just human,
Parallel that to real life, I think women were harder on our own gender. You see something and it's like we're more forgiving of men. Although I do think that's starting to change. I think there's some more accountability coming into it all, but it's, you keep seeing things about, lift each other up and fix each other's crowns and stuff like that. But there's a lot of the behind it,
Yeah. But I do think it's shifting, and I don't even blame women for it. In my upcoming book, there's a line, and it says, funny how you're blaming women for traits that a man instilled into them. And it's like, we were born into a world, like our mothers and grandmothers and great-grandmothers, where they were told to serve the man, and they weren't allowed to work. They weren't allowed to do so many things. So of course you're going to think it's going to be a mindset that you're below them in some way. So it takes generations to break that down. But like you're saying, there's so many supportive women in this industry alone who are helping each other. And when I feel like when one succeeds, we all do. And the most beautiful thing is when one person makes it up here, I love when they reach down and pull someone up with them, You
too. And I think, there's several women that I could pick out in our industry that have done that. The one that always comes to mind for me is Colleen.
Yes.
I love her origin story. I love where she's at now. I love what she does for the world around her. I think that she's kind of the, like, okay, guys, like, this is what we should be working towards, is to be that person. And I'm not even talking about achieving her success. Well, that would be amazing, but just to be that kind of genuine person that does that for the world.
It's always Colleen for me too. Like when I started writing, she's the one who shared my book and I hit the top 100. because of her.
Yes.
And she's so humble, you know.
She is.
She's so laid back and like grateful for everything, and I just love that energy. I think another one is Taryn Fisher. How she has like her Tuesday talks with Karen on her Instagram, and she helps people. And I saved so many of her answers from just that, because she sees things in a way that we all need to see them, I think. So there's so many women in this industry where I'm like, I want to be like you when I grow up. You know what I mean? Like, they just inspire.
Right. So I actually took a screenshot of one of the things that you wrote, and it was that forgiving someone did mean you have to invite them back into your world. Sometimes forgiving meant finally letting them go. Forgiveness meant cutting the final cord of one's connection to your soul. And that really struck me, because I think that forgiveness is something that, you know, I wrestle with, you know, just in my own personal life, you know, past traumas and stuff like that, you know, and it's like you want to let go. You know, is that something that came to you, or is that something that you're working on and experiencing in your own life?
Yeah, it's something I had to learn, because I felt for a long time, if you forgive someone, then you should never bring up what they did again, and you need to let them back in your life. If you're really clean your hands of it, then why can't they be a part of your life? But I've learned that one of the greatest things you can do for yourself and for that other person is to let them go, so they can find their own path, so you can grow in the way you're supposed to, because everyone's not meant to be in your story forever. Sometimes they're just a chapter, and your ability to let go with love, like, I forgive you, but I let you go, is giving them an opportunity to dive deeper into their story. So I think it's just the most grown up and respectful thing you can do for another person and for your own heart.
And I think boundaries, I think that's something that a lot of us, you know, we don't even know what our own boundaries are until they're crossed. And then we're kind of angry that, oh, you crossed my line, you know, and it's like, okay, wait a second, going forward, I know that that's a line for me that I don't want crossed.
Yeah.
Where do you hope that the book world is in the next, 1 to 5 years? Like, what do you see for it?
Yeah, I would like to see more diversity with the authors, with the characters we're reading about. I would love to see different types of covers, and other than white guys. I mean, I love white guys. Don't get me wrong, they're on my but I feel like it would be great to see more like creative covers with different images, with more women. I feel like I would love to see more newbies get a real shot at making it. I would just love to see more togetherness too. I feel like pretty together, like we're coming back. There's always little drama, but what family doesn't have little drama? But I just would love to see a world where people are writing what they want to create and succeeding instead of what they think they have to put out.
How is it that one, a white woman could write a story about a Black character without stepping on those toes and creating a story that really nothing about?
I think the important thing is to really speak up the authors who are doing that, the women of color who are writing those stories. Let's celebrate them. Let's get them out there. But Absolutely. Then if you were going to write the character, I think you have to do it in a way where you have people who are reading it. You have sensitivity readers. You are doing the work to make sure it's good and built in a way that's respectful to all. I think it's a beautiful thing when others start writing women of color or people of color in their stories, if you take the steps to make sure it's correct. Because when I think of write what you know, like there's a lot of things I've never been through in my stories. Like they're in Disgrace, the main character deals with miscarriages. I've never been through one personally, but I made sure to reach out to women who have experienced it, and I talked to people who have been through it, and I did my research to make sure I was telling it in a respectful way. So when I hear the words write what you know, it's more like, what steps did you take to pick up the knowledge on it? and who did you reach out to? Because we're always learning. We can always know more. So it's just about digging deep and reaching out to those people who you can use for resources and who will check you when you're wrong and be like, this is offensive and you probably didn't know why, but let me tell you why it is. Having those open dialogues really is a game changer, I think.
What is it that you think has changed so far for the better in our book community?
I feel like for the first time, people are kind of seeing the struggles that us Black authors have been saying exist, but sometimes, it's hard to believe it if it's not in your face. I could list a million of times I've had panic attacks just based on the person I put on a cover of my book. And it's a very, very stressful thing. So I think I think people are listening more, and I just hope they keep it up. Last month was Black History Month, and we saw a lot of people celebrating Black authors, which is awesome. But I would love to see us celebrate them in March, April, May, June, like every month, I don't want it to be a bingo card and then they stop celebrating us when it's not the shortest month of the year. You know what I mean? So it's just like, I just want to see more. I see people moving, I see people realizing, and I see people putting their foot forward to make real change. And if you think about it, we haven't really had much time to see change, but like you said, in 5 years, I'm really excited to see where we go.
Yeah. Between now and say the end of 22, do you have signings planned, or are you kind of taking it easy and waiting to see how things go?
Yeah, this year I have nothing, but Book Bonanza I signed up for 2022, and other than that, nothing right now. I have a few things that I can't really say yet due to foreign publishers, but some things might be coming up next year, I think. You said you're going to start, you're giving yourself a little break since Eastern Lights came out before. So are you working on Damien's story, or is that one done? Because I did read. But... Yeah. So I'm working on his story next. It comes out this August. So
I loved him.
Oh my gosh. His character is unlike any character I've ever written. Like, I've written grumpy characters before, and broken characters, but he's so different in my head how he's coming to me. I feel like I know his whole backstory from birth. I know his story because he's telling me every step. So with this story, I might do something a little different, and we might see him a little younger before the love story, but I might just split it into 2 books. But he's so different and so interesting. I've never had a character this intriguing before, so
he was different. I liked him.
So different. And I think he's so good at reading other people. So it will be fun when his other half, Stella, in his book, when she starts reading him, because he's not used to people reading him like that. And actually seeing him in a way he doesn't even see himself. So
I was going to ask, does he know himself?
That was his biggest struggle. Like, he could find out anything on anyone but himself. So I won't give away what happens in Eastern Lights, but towards the end, something is given to him, which leads to his story and finding out more information about who he is. And Stella's really going to help him on that journey. I think it's going to be
yeah. But I'm going to ask you 5 random questions, and they're not so random because they're random because I picked them, but they're not random now. And so you just answer them as best you can. Okay.
Sounds good.
All right. First one. What TV sitcom family would you be a member of?
Ooh, that's a good one. Like, current TV sitcom?
Any TV sitcom.
I would probably be Sister. Go with the twins.
That was a good one. I do remember that one.
Yeah.
Gosh, but you're so much younger than me. That was you were their age, probably, maybe even younger than them.
I was younger than them.
Okay. What's your favorite flower?
My favorite flower? Well, I don't know if I actually have a favorite flower. I love sunflowers. I love lilies. I love roses. I love all flowers. I don't think I have a favorite.
Okay. What impresses you?
Kindness, where people are kind without expecting anything in return. I think babies actually really like impress me, how they just learn and pick up on things. Same with animals, like dogs. Like I'm just really impressed with their ability to learn and grow.
What is your biggest strength?
My ability to redefine myself. I think in the past I used to get stuck feeling like I didn't know myself. I thought that was a big weakness, but the ability to redefine yourself whenever you need to and reconnect with self and talk to yourself and figure out, all right, this is where I feel off. How can we get to a different level? I think that's my biggest superpower right now.
Okay, what challenges you?
Past traits that still get triggered sometimes, like self-doubt is a big one. My struggle with society standards based on my own. Getting caught up in toxic situations that don't serve me anymore, be it reaching out to people who used to be in my life and allowing them back in without thought. What else challenges me? Not eating cake all the time.
Oh.
Sweets challenge me on the daily.
Okay. All right. So if you're reading, because I know you're kind of taking a little writing break, if you're reading right now, who or what are you reading?
Right now I'm reading some nonfiction. I just finished Atomic Habits by James Clear. It was amazing. I'm going to reread it. And right now I'm on Can't Hurt Me by David Goggins. I believe that's how you say his last name. He was in the Marines, and it tells his story of how he grew up and everything he went through to become the man he is today. And it's actually really, really interesting.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, those are all my questions. So thank you so much for taking some time out and doing this. I love seeing you, and I love you, and I'm so proud of you and all of your success and your talent and your heart and everything else.
Oh, I love you. Yes, and I can't wait. Are you doing Book Bonanza?
I am. Yep, yeah. I will be there.
I'll see you in a year. This is so exciting.
I know, isn't it? I can't wait. A year can't come soon enough. Actually, it can. Only because my other one will be graduating, and then I'll be an empty nester next summer. So I can wait a little bit.
Oh, yes. Enjoy this time.
Oh, yes. Yes. A ton. Well, thank you again so much, and can't wait for the next book.
Thank you so much, and thank you everyone for tuning in. It's always a pleasure and a joy to see you.
You too. All right. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.